Hi, I'm Neil Sackmary.
Hi, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom with the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division, PEIO. Please stay tuned for the next episode of Trooper Talk.
And together, we can make a difference. Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios with this edition of Trooper Talk. Who's the special guest in the middle? Well, I'm going to introduce him to you in just one moment. Please introduce yourself, sir.
I'm Sean Hagstrom, a State Trooper for Nevada Highway Patrol, Public Information Officer.
Very content. We see you all the time on the media and the news, and you know they're always quoting you on the news articles from all the TV stations.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I
100%.
just did a few yesterday too. So
Yes.
absolutely.
And our middle guest is who, sir?
Jeff Thayer, also State Trooper with Nevada Highway Patrol, assigned to the Prim District now.
And you've been on the show before, and we love having you back.
Thanks. Good to be back. Appreciate
And
it.
you, sir, are?
I'm Trooper Villanueva with Nevada State Police. I am the sworn recruiter for Southern Command or Region 1.
All right, so you ready? I'm going to embarrass
Here we
them.
go.
This is what I was telling you, right?
I turn
I'm
red
going
as
to
a
embarrass
sheet.
them, and then they're going to answer the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, there
Okay.
you go.
Here we go.
We embarrassed him because his mom came on the show. I don't know if you know. And his fiance also works for the department, and he sat in the middle.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. The first time, Trooper Hagstrom and I, we totally like bamboozled him to coming in, and his mom was here.
No clue that you were
No
there.
clue.
Yeah.
Totally turned the face red.
So
All
that,
right.
that was a good one.
Yeah, it was
That was
great.
a good one, right?
Yeah.
That was a good one, and his
Hot.
mom really was appreciative.
Yeah.
She loved
Yeah,
it.
100%.
I loved it. I loved it.
And she came on again, and
Yeah.
it's fantastic. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Nice.
saying? And we had his fiance Whitney on here because at that time she was in dispatch.
Yeah.
All right, so you ready?
Let's hear it.
Is it legal to alter your license plate?
Absolutely
And-
not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Okay. So you can't take your license plate and make a 9, a 6, or whatever, right?
No.
It's
Right.
it's known as fictitious plates, Neil.
Uh-huh.
Another thing that I want to let the public know is so a lot of people like that plastic covering that
Yeah.
goes over the plates.
Uh-huh.
That's also illegal. You can't put that over anything obstructs the plate. And when they start messing with numbers or adding stuff on the plate and everything, that becomes fictitious plates.
Fictitious
So
plates.
because if we end up running it and the numbers don't come back or they're
Yeah.
different, I've pulled over people where, you know how they used to sell the license plates. It's Nevada license plates, but they're the custom ones where you could
Yeah.
get at the shops.
Yeah.
And I pulled one. They had like the 777, like that you got at the gift shops,
Yeah.
and they tried to use that as a license plate. And you know they'll try to steal the little stickers, put it on there, make it legit. But those are fictitious plates. And
Fictitious
you'll-
plates.
Absolutely.
Not legal.
Not legal at all.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
What about expired tags? Are you allowed to drive around with expired tags?
Not unless you have a moving permit.
A moving permit.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, like the moving permit is for 15 or 30 days, and they're only a couple dollars. You
Yeah,
know, it's
typically
like
30 days.
Yeah.
30 days, and I think they're like $3 or $10, or it's not a very expensive process to do that.
No.
Right.
Yeah, and you can go down to the DMV and just
Yeah.
let them know what you're doing and get that permit, and
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to do.
It gives you that 30 days to get through that, usually a smog issue or like
Yeah.
their check engine lights on, they can't pass smog, so they can't renew the registration. That's usually the biggest reason or the excuse we hear why they didn't renew it. But we always tell them, hey, get at least the permit through DMV, be lawful on the road while you're working through this check engine light or whatever the issue is.
Whatever the issue is.
Right.
How about when you buy a vehicle, they give you a certain amount of time to register the vehicle. Are you allowed to drive around with expired dealer plates?
No.
Absolutely not.
No,
Nope.
same,
Absolutely
same
not.
issue.
And you know, and you got 30 days here in the state of Nevada. Once
you
you move
buy.
here, you know, we got a lot of people, and I want to let the public know because we have a big influx of people coming from out of state, and especially from California. And they think, oh, my car's registered until, you know, June of 2026, and I just moved here. And they think, oh, I'm going to just run until my plates run out. But they're legally moving here. They've came here for business or they're working. Once you reside in this state, you have 30 days to get your license plates changed over. It doesn't mean that you can let your California or whatever state you're from run out for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So you have to actually go down to DMV, get everything switched over, also your driver's license and everything, because it's required by Nevada law.
Okay.
Yep.
So she wants to know, and I won't go into this whole email, but you know that as an informal study to my typical 12-mile drive to work, I see a minimum of 5 cars on the road fitting one of these categories. And she goes into it, the registration costs and all this type of stuff, okay? And how much it will be and everything like this. So, at the end of this whole situation, right, because her question was, why are so many cars driving with expired tagged license plate, expired dealer plates, or no plates at all? She goes into the value, right? And then at the end, she says, and how does NHP enforce, how does NHP enforce registration laws? So I'm going to give each one of you sort of a little bit of a moment to respond. Does that make sense?
Sure, sure.
And so we've talked about this before, about the tags and the paper plates, and people put this type of stuff on. So talk to us about sort of what it is, and then I'll go down the line, and then we'll get to some pictures.
Yeah, we're always actively doing enforcement, and we're looking for those violations. Just due to the amount of officers that we have working the road, a lot of our officers, especially when she's probably doing a morning commute or afternoon commute coming from work or going to work, we're dealing with a lot of crashes, and we're dealing with DUIs still, a lot of stuff, and a lot of troopers get tied up. But that doesn't mean that we're not out there always looking for this. When we're driving around, we're always observing all the cars. We're looking at the plates, registration, driving. But a lot of things, these are more like, I don't want to say a secondary thing that we look for, because we're really looking for the reckless drivers, the speeders in the morning. We really have to address that problem. And a lot of times when we get those speeders, that's where we run into registration issues and driver's license issues and all that, because we end up running people. They either got warrants or they have a suspended driver's license or the expired driver's license. And same goes with the cars. And we deal with that situation when we get there. But I want them to know that we're always actively looking for this. It's just the amount of officers that we have that are usually tied up throughout the valley.
Yeah.
And we do have to get the problem issues taken care of first. And like I said, reckless drivers or speeders that can cause injury or death on our roadways from people going to and from work or taking their kids to school or whatever it may be. We have to address these problems before we can get these other problems. But a lot of times, I just want them to know that when we do make those traffic stops, that's when we end up finding these other registration or license problems or whatever that we have around.
So, Trooper Thayer.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate the fact that you come on. We know that you've had a long career when it comes to the Nevada State Police, doing a lot of different things. And so we talk about you all the time.
Thanks. Hopefully all good things,
and
right?
tell all these great stories, like picture number 1. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So, I'm just going to turn this way so I can just comprehend, okay? I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't do any of this type of stuff. So I look at things like the legal limit and say, okay, like, I have drank in my life, and I've never done the breathalyzer, you know what I'm saying? But, like, when you're wasted, you're wasted. Like, you know what I mean? And so, like, I started when I used to drink amaretto just to, like, calm myself, until my doctor was like, listen, you probably shouldn't drink that every night. And so I completely stopped. But I remember drinking it, and you feel, like, a little bit tipsy, like you're like, woo, you know?
Right.
Okay. I don't know what a .08 is, or a .10, or whatever it might be is, okay? But a .248, when the legal limit is .08,
3 times plus.
I mean, like, number one, how is a person even standing?
Or commuted in.
Yeah.
This person came in from California.
Yeah, I mean, like,
And driving reckless at 109 under the influence.
talk to us. What I want to know is, 5 minutes before this happened, you're in your patrol car. You're doing your due diligence as an officer, you're driving, or you're sitting on the side. Take me through a couple minutes before, and then take me to this.
Sure. So I'm assigned to the Prim District right now, which is from St. Rose Parkway on the 15 all the way down to the California border. Includes Las Vegas Boulevard, another state route that goes out to Good Springs. But the main corridor obviously is I-15, and my typical shift starts at 6 in the morning and goes to 4. So the guys and I that work down there, we know there's a couple hot spots that people speed to this level. We don't know if it's something when they see the city limits and they're just pedal to the metal because they're almost there, or they're just tired of driving. But right here, mile marker 22, coming northbound is right when you can see the city limits, right when you can see the lights at nighttime. And so typically when I'm starting the day off and it's real light, I know there's gonna be people doing these kind of speeds out there. So I'll set up, not to give away our secrets or anything.
Right, no,
But no
you're
matter how many
sitting-
times we
right,
do it,
yeah.
right,
we
but
still
you're sitting
catch
there.
us. We still catch us every
Right.
day. So
Uh-huh.
just a couple minutes, I sit there and it's usually light traffic, a lot of trucks commuting in with their freight loads and everything. But then people like this stick out like a sore thumb. I mean, it's very obvious. We always conduct a visual estimate before we lock it in on the radar device, but it's flying. I mean, it sticks out very obviously. So you conduct that visual estimate and then get him. And then actually this number, this 109, was actually when I was catching up to him, he picks it up a few more miles per hour. So this is front moving radar while I'm closing in on the driver. So I stop him about 24 to 25, which it takes a mile or sometimes a couple miles in this instance to stop the car because they're going so fast. And if they don't let off, even if they don't see me or they just keep hammering down, it's very dangerous because we're traveling at extreme speed trying to stop the violation as well.
Because you're traveling very fast.
Correct. Yeah,
Right?
you have to overcome that speed in order to close a distance on them. Especially when I'm coming from a stationary,
zero.
I was running stationary radar at first.
Uh-huh.
And then you have to go with that 0 miles an hour to overcome the 100 plus miles per hour.
Okay.
So
Which is very dangerous in itself.
right,
Yep.
right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No worries. So yeah, contact the driver and sometimes with the winds and the sounds out there, I mean, it's not like working in the city where it may be a little slower or a little more closed in where you don't get the winds, and sometimes you don't necessarily smell the odor of alcohol or alcoholic beverages, but there's just weird mannerisms that the driver did. And so there was a couple things that were sticking out to me. I suspected he's impaired, time of day, all those things were kind of playing into effect along with the speed. And sure enough, pulled him out. The person obstructed, gave me false names, false IDs, in addition to being over 3 times the legal limit. So actually the evidentiary, I just checked on this case, the evidentiary blood draw that came back actually put the person at a .257, so even higher than that PBT, the preliminary breath is even higher.
And so, and I see when I go for my drive all the time, you see the state trooper on the side of the road. You know what I mean? Everybody always slams on the brakes. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
right.
And so, but what I want people to understand is that you are putting your life at risk to protect the community, okay? And you're doing that because someone, I say, don't care. I keep saying that because if people cared, they wouldn't do it, right?
Right.
But you're putting your life at risk because a person is so intoxicated and driving so fast that they blow past the trooper without a care in the world.
Yeah, usually don't let off, especially when they're impaired. They usually don't let off. Usually, and in this case, the speed did pick up, I think, 3 more miles per hour than their initial clock. So yeah, not caring the world is correct. I mean, not caring, not only for me and him, but the public at large. You know, a lot of people don't know how to judge speed like we do. We're trained to visually estimate. We go through classes to learn how to become radar certified. But the average person out there, we see a lot of, especially in the city limits, people fail to yield right away. Well, it's not really fail to yield right away when they're doing these egregious speeds. They're forfeiting their right away because the person pulling out with their kids from the grocery store cannot judge a speed like that. They think the speed limit's 45, the person's roughly doing 45. And that's why we see these horrific crashes out here with severe injury or death, is because the average person cannot judge that speed.
Yeah. We need more troopers.
We do.
Right? And so it takes a very special person, okay? He's out there clearly on a picture, right? With a person that can all of a sudden get in a fight with him. You know what I mean? Like, you're not taking me to jail, and who knows what these people do?
Right.
But we need more troopers.
Yeah,
So how do we get them?
So NevadaStatePolice.com, obviously. But what we want to reiterate, like we've reiterated on the shows before, is that we're not looking for experience. We're not looking for anybody that's trained or has background in law enforcement or any kind of law enforcement experience whatsoever. We will train you from the bottom to the top. And yeah, understand that you will be put into these kinds of situations and scenarios where you will be putting yourself in harm's way to go and catch the bad guys at this point. This is on a daily basis at this point. It's almost hourly at this point with how many people we have coming into Las Vegas and going out of Las Vegas. But we also see these speeds sometimes even in town, graveyard hours when there's not so much traffic going around the Beltway or on the 15. We have all these high speeds in town as well. However, they see it more often in the Prim District because it's more of an open road out there. But yeah, absolutely, we need as many people that want to come out and make a difference, not only for themselves, but for the community, because every single one of these pictures, every single one of these arrests, every single one of these DUIs that we put into jail is one life, at least one life that's saved, whether it be the offender's life or the public's life. It's always somebody that's saved when we take somebody in custody for DUI.
Yeah.
And Neil, can I say one thing
yeah.
too? Also, this is another person arrested, 124 miles per hour coming into our state. And these people are already impaired. Now that's a major issue. And thank God that we do have troopers working down in Prim, because these people are coming into our state. How long were they intoxicated when they were hit Victorville or LA, or were they drinking on the way in, all the way into Vegas? We don't know. And now their perception with driving, stopping, everything is so off. You know what I mean? You don't have all your faculties when you're at a .248, or especially when you're doing 124, and adding impairment on top of that is crazy. I mean, we've talked about it before. When I pulled over speeders doing in the 90s or 100s, and I asked them, hey, if you have a complete blowout in your car, do you think you can handle this? And I'd say almost 100% of the people would say, no, I wouldn't be able to handle that. And if you get off the roadway, in Nevada, most of our soft sand and desert, once you get that car off the roadway, the minute you turn those tires, the weight of that car starts furrowing into that sand.
Yeah.
So you have no control. And once that goes in, once you make that movement with the wheels, and that it's the tires furrow into the sand, and it's a rollover every time. When I worked between Vegas and Mesquite for years, almost every car that went off the road, if they panicked and turned those wheels, it was a rollover every time. So just imagine having these kind of speeds and stop traffic ahead, or something happens, they get a blowout, but they're also impaired. And now you're adding that in. I mean, they're severely putting themselves and other lives in danger every time when they do this.
On the 200th episode, Sergeant Donaldson said, I had 7 troopers working, whatever night it was, right? Mm-hmm. And he said 4 of them were in jail at one time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean,
scary.
like, it's just doesn't make sense. And so you said it, and it sort of said what you said in a way that if someone is there, and when I drive and you look in the rear view mirror, you can sort of see someone that generally is speeding or coming up in a fast way. Hopefully they put their headlights on, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of cars don't. But you can sort of see a car that's coming up very fast. But it's not very easy. And so if you're used to driving on a road at 75 miles an hour, fine, you went over 5 miles an hour over the speed limit or something. You know what I mean? We don't suggest that. We suggest you drive at the speed limit. But there's a difference from 65 or 75 to 100 or 120.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big time.
Huge difference.
And so I never sort of perceptualized the fact that if you're at a standstill and that person blows past you at 105, 110, that you have to do 115, 120 miles an hour to catch up to that person, which might be a mile down the road.
Yes, mile or two.
Right? But where you see the lights go.
Yeah, something else that people don't understand too is that most of the tires that are on regular vehicles are not speed rated for these speeds, especially if they're doing this for a long amount of distance. If they continue at the speeds, then we get blowouts, and what are you going to do at 128 miles when your tire completely shreds? You're absolutely losing control, and you're going to go out into the desert. So there's so many different factors that play into people that are speeding or going at almost double the speed limit, right? That if at this point, like, if something comes out into the roadway, you don't have any kind of time whatsoever to react to what's in front of you whatsoever. Even if you're coming around a curb and it's dead stop traffic, you're going to go into the back of a car. So there's just so many different factors.
Yeah, at 55, 65, you're traveling several football fields in stopping distance.
Yeah.
Now you're tripling that,
yeah,
if not more. And he's exactly right.
Yeah,
Something
it's-
comes out. If there's a mattress in the road, how many times that
Yeah,
we have
all
stuff
the
that
time.
fall off the trucks, ladders and everything,
Yeah.
and then you think you're going to swerve at 128 miles an hour to avoid that object? No,
And
it's
this
not going to
is-
happen.
And this is what you've been trained. So for you to drive at this speed, you have been on an enclosed environment
Right.
with instructors,
Right.
with you pushing your car to the absolute limit of what that vehicle could do, but you're on a closed environment and
Right.
you're trained.
Right. Yeah, and it takes a lot of people don't realize it takes a little bit of practice, like even in field training, to be able to put all those things you're trained on together to close on these crazy drivers. And you're right. I mean, it is a high liability in the academy to pass the driver's training. It's over a whole week, and it's on a closed course, like you said. So it's one of those things that it's critical for in the training environment to pass. And if you don't pass this one part of it, that's your training ends right there.
Yeah.
You know, we're thankful. You know, we that you're there, that the others are there, because we show these pictures. It is almost weekly. You know, for these people with these out of control things and stuff like this, and we have to do something to stop these people that are doing it here, right, in town, and then obviously these people that are coming in from out of town. So,
Right.
Thank you again for what it is that you do.
Appreciate it. Thank
thanks for being here, and thanks for sending us these pictures. But I don't know. And then you have to take him to jail.
Right. It's a little bit of a haul.
Yeah.
So before we go to this, here's my question for you. Okay, before we go, okay. So now you've done all this stuff, right? You've assessed the situation. Now you know that this person is to what you would deem as driving under the influence, and so now you're going to put him in your handcuffs.
Right.
Okay, so now you put this guy in your handcuffs, right? And then he goes and sits in your car.
Right.
Okay, which is not very comfortable in the back seat.
No.
I always say
not
I
a place
bite my-
anyone would want to be. I don't think.
I bite my fingernails, so like I would have a piece of skin like this, and I would be nuts.
Right.
Like in 1 second, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so anyway, which I hope to never experience in my life. Let me just be clear. Like I always ask everybody when they come on, I go, "So how's jail?"
Yeah.
And they look at me, they're like, "I've never been there." You know what I mean? Like, okay, so this person is now in the back of the car.
Right.
Okay. You have to now wait for the tow.
Right.
You have to call. You have to wait for the tow. He has to load the car, put the tow on the trailer, right? Then you proceed with this guy in the back seat now, and you have to drive to jail, which is about how long?
From this jurisdiction, it's roughly over 20 miles.
20 miles. So
Yeah.
let's say 45 minutes? 30
Yeah,
minutes?
it depending on the traffic. It could be.
Okay. So let's say another 30 minutes that he's already sitting in the car, right? So now you're at least at an hour, right? 45 minutes while and he's back there and he's like, maybe he's intoxicated and doesn't know what planet he's on, and it doesn't matter because you've done your job and you've gotten this person off the road, right?
Yep. It's in control now.
Yeah.
And now he gets to jail, and people think, oh, you just dropped him off at jail and that's it. No, you have paperwork to do.
Yes.
You have to fill out things. You have to do all these type of things,
Do
right?
the evidentiary testing for getting actual
DOA.
evidentiary draw or the blood draw or the breath sample, whatever we have to do on top of what we already did on scene.
And so this takes your time,
It does, yeah.
right? And so it's not drop him off at jail and you go right back on the road,
No. No,
right?
you have to articulate all the facts and circumstances that led you to the arrest to make it lawful. And just the egregious speed, any odors, any slurred speech, any weird...
Any of this stuff without
any
giving too
things,
much information
right, and then you
away,
got to all tie it in
Uh-huh.
and make a nice package report for the court. That way this person can be held responsible for what they did. Because if we lack that part, then the courts can't hold these people responsible.
And then this gentleman, or this person, sorry, whoever this was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now has to sit in the jail.
Correct.
which is we've talked about. It's not a very nice place.
No.
And so it's not a place that you want to go and hang out and stuff like this. So people have to know that you will be held accountable when you break the law. Right?
Life's about consequences.
Life's about consequences. All right, let's see what this one is. Check your speed.
Yep, this
this
is
Sean's
Sean's
safe-
safety
okay.
tips.
So let me tell you the situation. Maybe it's about 2 months. He decided that he wanted to do a safety tip every single week. And
Nice.
so he does these pictures and all this type of stuff. And so one of the things by being unscripted, I don't look at the pictures. I don't want to know what the pictures are. Him and Johnny work on the pictures. And so I leave it to you.
Yeah, well, one of the things, I mean, this is one of the great things about having the Sean safety tips, because, you know, we talk about distracted driving, impaired driving, also falling too close, all the different things that can get you in trouble in the valley, right? But nothing more can get you more in trouble in the valley than speed. I'm going to reiterate what we say at a lot of our shows is there's two of the largest contributing factors to our fatalities here in Nevada are speed and impairment. And if we look at a lot of our crashes around the valley, it's not always due to distracted driving. A lot of it's dealing with speed. I had another, if you look up there, that's true, 0 fatalities, but they're saying that a lot of at least 1/3 of our traffic deaths, that's 33%, are just speed alone, you know. So, and that's one of the things I wanted to bring up. You know, our law 484B 600 is the actual speeding law that we have here for the Nevada legislature that we put out, Nevada revised statutes, and explains the law to them. And then also, I did a little breakdown here. This was, I hate to say AI generated. I had to have AI put that out there. It's easier to pull it
Yeah,
off for
of
them. But, you know, like 1 to 10, you know, is at 200. But it's not going to be that regular 200. You got court fees, assessments, and everything else, you know. So it could be anywhere from 234 to 276. But one of the things that I like to say is, they even put it in here, however, exceeding the speed limit by more than 30 miles per hour can result in a misdemeanor charge, potentially jail or time or whatever. Usually 30 to 50, if you're double the speed limit, all these are all arrestable offenses. And we will take you to jail every time. If you're doing at least 50 over the speed limit, you're going to get a reckless charge. If we were to write you at 30 over, we can get reckless on. If we have another, we see you not using your turn signal or you're falling too close and you're speeding 30 miles over the speed limit, you can get a reckless ticket. And I always tell people that's $1,240, 8 points off your license. You only have 12 points on your license. You're going to lose 8 points if you get a reckless. And that's if you get charged by the judge or whatever. They can always reduce it, you know, it just depends. But these are things that you don't want on your record because of insurance. Your insurances are going to get messed up here. And let's say you get, let's say a 1 to 10 mile per hour speeding, 10 or below, and you get another speeding ticket. That's an additional 3 points. And then you only got like 1 point on your driver's license left. Yeah, I mean, you got to think of these things. And if you got to get to work or you drive for a living and stuff, you could actually lose your job if you drive for a living if you got a reckless driving. So people just got to put that in perspective. We got to be mindful to others out there at all times. We're very selfless out here. We've talked on your show numerous times. Hey, if you want to get somewhere, plan ahead, leave early. There's no reason to put the stress on yourself, because speeding is stressful when you're driving yourself, because it is stressful getting in and out of traffic, and you're putting stress on others. And there's no need for that. When you can just leave early, gives you time to think before you're going to work or taking the kids to school. You can relax, no rush to get there. And it also, by leaving early, you don't have to worry about what if there's a crash or extra construction. It's going to slow you up. You got that extra time built in so you can get to work or wherever you got to go, to the grocery store. So there's really no need to be doing these high speeds. I don't see it every day. That's what's kind of nice in my Mustang. We talked about always, when I drive, I look a lot of my majority, at least half the time, in my rearview mirror. Even though I got to look in the front and watch everybody in the front, I'm always watching that rearview mirror because I can always see the people coming around everybody, because the people that notice me, are slowing back and backing off.
Uh-huh.
But the people don't notice they're going to get around these other people, right? So, and then they pass me at 20, 30 miles an hour, and then it's already too late. Even if they notice me, I already got them locked in on radar,
All right.
because they're zooming up, and I got them locked on radar, and I just need them to get in front of me, and we're going to have a talk. You know, we're either going to get a citation, or I'd love to hear your story why you're speeding that fast. You know what I mean?
100%.
So this is just one of the things that I wanted to bring up about speed is one of our biggest contributing factors, not only to our crashes in the valley, but also fatals in the entire state of Nevada. So we want people to slow down. This is just one of the messages that I have out there, and I thought this would be a good time to talk about speed because we got Thayer,
Yes.
and he's going to be like a speed expert because, you know, he was working in the Las Vegas Valley, you know, doing the crashes, doing all this stuff. And now he's, you know, I used to be in Mesquite, and I dealt with nothing but speed, and now he's getting to see what it's like being on the opposite end on Prim with California traffic. And I thought this would be a great segment to speak about a little bit about speed all day today, because we do have too many high speeds out there, too much reckless driving. And it was great to bring him on, and being down in Prim, I know this guy's going to be a speed expert before you know it. You know what I mean?
A daily
I do.
test.
And this brings me to the fact that without going into specifics, okay, you have rear radar. I mean,
do.
like, you know what I mean? Like, there's radar in the front and there's radar in the back. So when
Right.
you decide that you want to be silly and you want to be at 100 miles an hour and drive up, you know, 2 car lengths and then speed around, they already got you. You're done.
It's already in.
And so what people have to understand is that when they drive at these type of speeds, that they are putting everyone at risk. And so you're putting the troopers at risk, you're putting you at risk, you're putting the person, even if you're stone cold sober and you're speeding, right? And the trooper, now let me ask you something. Going to Prim, do they have, can you pull to the right and the left, or you only have the right?
So you only have the right, and then but some circumstances too where we lose the construction zones, I might flag them over to the left just to keep a wider shoulder, just to keep us both safe. Especially because when they go to the right, I always make the passenger side approach 99% of the time, just because of the traffic coming by. They're already going at a good clip. If they don't move over for me, it just puts us both at risk. So we always want you to go to the right. I'd rather make the passenger side approach than to deal with you on the left, because typically the faster cars are going to be on the left side of the highway, in the number 1 lane, or the fast lane that people call it.
So you pull over to the right, and they're putting people at risk because people are coming down the road.
Right.
Maybe not, you know, maybe they turned on the radio, or maybe they, you know, they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, but they look down at the text, or who knows what happens, but they took their eyes off the road for that quarter of a second.
Right.
And all of a sudden now they look up and there's flashing lights, and then there's a car, and they're not understanding what's going on.
Right.
And so that then they get the looky-loo, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like these type of things, and it puts everyone's life at risk for someone who is essentially not going to get there any faster now because you've just delayed whatever they're doing, right?
Yeah, all that time savings you just had by speeding now is sucked away.
Right.
You really don't save any time.
No.
We've talked about that numerous times, even when you're speeding. And one thing I want to tell the public is if you do get stopped, always pull to the right.
Yeah.
You know, our roads are made, and it's even nationwide that they do this. When you get stopped by a police officer, you have the red and blues and the siren going. Always go to the right side of the road, because that's where the shoulder is for these stops. It's a lot easier and safer for our officers when they get out to make a passenger side approach. A lot of our, when you look throughout the Las Vegas Valley, there's a lot of places that you cannot pull over on the left, and if you do, you're right next to the center median, and it creates a danger for not only the trooper but yourself just being in those areas. So we don't even want you off to the left. I know there's a few areas on the 215 where it opens up and there's a large area, and that would be fine to pull over on the left where the trooper could address you on either side or whatever, but there's a lot of room in certain areas. But the majority, we want you to pull all the way to the right. Another thing I want to bring up to the public, and this is going to be for years coming along, and Jeff's going to have to deal with this, is we have the high-speed train coming. So there's going to be some major construction from Vegas all the way into California, and that's going to affect traffic with construction. I'm sure they probably started a little bit on that already, But that's going to have to reduce speeds because you're actually going to have people working in those areas, and we don't have a lot of room. 2 or 3 lanes, going towards California or whatever. Some of that middle area is going to be taken up because I think the high-speed rail is going to go right down the middle of both the interstates, I believe, and then it'll cross over further into California where it'll be on the other side of the road. So we're going to have to watch over the next few years. We're really going to hamper down. We're probably going to have to get more troopers out there assisting them, pulling people for these traffic and hazardous moving violations down there, just to prevent somebody getting hurt or get rid of that reckless speed down there.
Right.
So let me ask you a question that most people probably don't want to think. Like, what do you do for lunch?
So luckily, I moved into the area pretty
Okay.
close by,
Right.
so now I can go home. But before, I would sometimes either eat with the local guys, the Metro officers. We work very closely with Las Vegas Metro down there, or the BLM Rangers, or sometimes just get paperwork done. Just go sit at the substation down in Jean, get things squared away, so go home on time, and just take that reprieve for 30 minutes to an hour, whatever
And
it
so
is.
now you live close to there.
I do, which is nice.
And so I didn't see when I was coming in. You drive the Ghost vehicle, or you have the lights in there?
Nope, so full marked.
Fully marked.
Fully marked Explorer, just like these guys right here.
Okay.
But
I do got to say something.
Yeah, tell
and
me.
I don't know if he's going to do it. I heard that he was thinking about it, contemplating, but
Yeah. Well,
but
yeah,
all three of us are
Yeah, the
Mustang
Mustang.
guys.
yeah,
And his Mustang just came in
Yeah, sure
this
did.
week. Just the other day, 2 days ago.
yeah.
So whether he takes it, I mean, it's his choice. If
Yeah.
he wants to take the Mustang, I think he should because of the high speeds and everything. He would have a lot of fun with
It's a
it.
great tool.
He likes a lot of rest, so sometimes he thinks, well, maybe this would work out. You know what I mean? And extra
what's more
stuff. but-
what's more I mean, there's probably no room in the back seat of that Mustang.
No,
right?
you can't put anybody in the back.
So you have to sit the resty up.
The resty will be in the front.
Yeah.
But if they're combative, let's say if they're out
Then
of
you
control,
have to wait.
he has to call for another trooper to transport. It creates a little bit of issue. But the majority of the time, he's dealing with a lot of crashes and speed, and that's a perfect car for him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think he would enjoy it. You know what I mean? I really
in
do.
the show that I watch
Yeah.
where they show the police in certain states, they put the person in the front seat and then they buckle them in. And
We did that for the longest time.
used to do
We
that,
only
yeah.
had the cages, I would say, maybe going into 2004 or 5.
So you
That's
would
how
put 'em in the
we
front
used to
seat,
put them
yeah.
in the front seat. We have a toggle, like a switch. A restraining thing in the middle of the seat. So we always handcuffed them, put that in there, and buckle them in. They'd be sitting in the front, and we did that forever. I'm just going back because I've been around for a long
Yeah, he has a stripes. I only have
Right,
one stripe.
so
He has
it's-
all
Yeah, but
stripes.
we got cages. And I will say it's a lot safer to have
Yeah.
cages.
So so let me ask you something. So you people don't know you used to drive the motorcycles.
I did, yes.
Right, and so you did that. So you obviously like the openness of feeling that openness. You
Yeah,
know
it was
what I'm
it was a
saying?
great almost 4 years on being on that bike.
You like the SUV?
I do. I mean, it's still very functional. The challenges in the rural areas, and Sean can allude to this too, is that you are more alone, even though you have your local allied agency partners like Metro or the BLM Rangers to help you out. But you got to have enough supplies and ability to kind of take care of things on your own, at least until someone else could get down there. So sometimes the push bumper comes in hand. We could push people out of the road and not have to tow them, and they could deal with their own tow. Or we get a lot of animal calls. Sometimes I'll be stuck down there for hours on end, closing the highway off for a fatal crash or something like that. And you have enough flares and water, and
So it's a give and take.
it's a big workshop now compared to being in the city where you have the freeway service guys, the freeway service patrol guys that help us out, FSP, changing tires, filling up people with gas. We're very much more limited, I guess you say. out
We're
there.
kind of doing all that because they kind of take that away because they're only used in the valley, like Freeway Service Patrol.
100%.
So when you get out, like in where we were at Mesquite or Prim, they don't have those resources.
Yeah.
We're the resource.
Right.
Yeah.
When I remember when Sergeant Bracha came on, and he used to say, like, look, I leave my house and this is my office
For the whole
and
day.
and so like I can't go back home.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
So you're so.
Yeah, the stop sticks, the full size jacks to lift cars up, your tools.
So it's very
big
very
cones,
used.
It is. It's a nice workspace to have enough supplies, room, and every once in a while we have to give a courtesy ride. You get older people, or it's very hot out and they're broken down and the roadside's giving them no estimated time to get out there, and they're in the middle of Jean with no water.
And the heat,
At least give them a
yeah,
ride to
absolutely.
the M Resort, get them out of the elements. You know, we could deal with the car situation later on in the day. Or same thing in the winter. It's very cold out, and they're stuck out there with indefinitely. We could put them in the back of the Explorer, get them off the highway if they consent to it, and get them out of the elements.
He's calm.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And when he came on before and we talked and all this type of stuff, he's just a very calm guy.
Yep.
You know, but you know that, like we've talked about, that, you know, push me to the edge of the limit, you know, that it's the law and I am not a nice guy anymore because you're now interfering with the law, right? And so when it comes to the recruiting, okay, we need special people that want to make a difference, that are the best, right? I mean, like, what needs to be done is they need to be the best of the best in order to be able to wear that patch, to be able to wear that badge, right?
Right.
Talk to us through the fact of, obviously he lives close to where he is now, but, you know, like, what was it, the 35 miles or something like that? You can
70.
70 miles, you know what I mean? The take-home car. Talk to us a little bit about that for the recruiter.
Yeah, so another thing that I'll touch on too is that the state gives you everything that you need to come and do the job. Whether you pick highway patrol or parole probation, you will get everything that you need to get into the academy. You'll get everything that you need to get out of the academy and to do the job as safely and as proficient as you possibly can. We're one of the only vehicles, or the state is one of the only agencies that has vehicles that has rear-facing radar. There's not a whole lot of people that have that, and a lot of people don't understand that. So when you come flying up on us, yeah, we caught your speed, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like we caught you, and that's thanks to the state because they have given us so much equipment in not only our vehicles but on our or on our persons. Like I talked about that one episode, we got brand new rifles. Every single one of our cars, or at least most of every single one of our cars, all have the LPRs or the license plate readers, which makes our job so much easier. So we're not having to function or having to worry about license plates or what's in front of us or anything like that. We have something that's always working for us. So yeah, absolutely. The state gives you everything that you need to get the job done, down to the duty belt. So if you're going for another agency in town, you have to purchase a lot of the stuff that's on your belt. And if you don't make it to the academy, then you're out like $2 to $3 grand, and now you can't give any of that back because you own it now. However, with us, we give you a duty belt, we give you a firearm, we give you essentially everything down to the boots. We give you a boot allowance. So if you're looking to come be part of Nevada's finest, we will absolutely take you to NevadaStatePolice.com.
And you will work with someone.
Yep.
Right. Doesn't matter the age.
Right.
Right. As long as they pass the required test. Now, let's go through sort of the synopsis before you get into the academy.
Sure.
So you have a physical examination.
Right.
Which you tell them what it is that they need to do in order to pass.
Absolutely.
And to that's required, right? You'll help them.
Yep.
Okay. Then they have a written exam.
Same day.
Same day. But you alert them to what is going to be on there. It's not like trick questions.
Correct,
And
yeah.
you give them a book.
Yeah. So they'll apply. HR will verify their application, and once it's verified by HR, I will contact them to give them a testing date. When I send them the email confirmation of that testing date, I send out all of the requirements for the physical tests, so they understand what they have to work on to get past the physical fitness testing. And I also send them a study guide link to purchase a study guide for the written exam. So then that way they're not completely in the dark of what's on the exam.
And then once they pass those two, then they have a polygraph.
Right.
And that is just sort of to just make sure that you're sort of telling the truth, right? I mean, like
Correct.
essentially.
Yeah, essentially. So there's a background questionnaire that they have to fill out. Essentially, it's a whole bunch of questions. I don't know how many questions are on there, but there's a whole bunch of questions on there. It's digging into your life history and everything that's about you, essentially. So as long as you're telling the truth, there's no reason for you to have to think of a lie or have to think of anything else to say other than the truth, right? You'll go into backgrounds. You'll have a background investigator that you'll work with that you're going to submit documents to. There's some documents that you can start getting together prior to even applying, so then that way that background process is a little bit faster and a little bit quicker. High school transcripts and college transcripts, they have to be certified and sealed. So I start telling people to start requesting those now because some of those take a good amount of time to get them, especially if they're from out of state. If you went to college out of state, it's going to take a good amount of time for them to get to your
Oh,
house.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
okay.
but with that, do not open your transcripts. They have to be certified and sealed, and your background investigator will get a copy of those and give you back those sealed, or I'm sorry, the certified transcripts back to you.
What do you mean? So they send them?
Directly, the college sends it directly to the
Oh,
HR.
really?
Yeah, directly to HR. You can request it to have it mailed out to us, or if you mail it out to yourself.
that's cool.
That's what I mean. Don't open the
Don't
envelope.
open 'em.
Don't open the envelope.
Okay.
Don't open the seal. Leave it as is and give it to your background investigator that way. Because they do request it certified sealed transcripts. Any court documents that you might have been named in, including divorce, marriage certificates. If you were a victim of any crime whatsoever, you have to get that court report or police report. And you can do that by contacting the court office or the courts, and they'll be able to get you a copy of whatever documents that you're listed in, as well as 10 years of previous addresses, as well as 2 current neighbors. You need their contact information, so you have to make friends with your neighbors and talk to them.
A little uncomfortable with some people,
Yeah,
right?
a little comfortable, right? Yeah,
It's a little different in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
there's some neighbors that don't, yeah.
Okay, okay.
And I think a lot of that has to do with because you are going to get a take-home car, so your neighbors have to be aware that you will be coming home in a take-home vehicle, right? So they have to be okay with,
Right.
with
Oh.
a cop coming home to live next to you at that point.
Wow.
And that's really all that you can get together now prior to getting to the backgrounds. And then after the background process, after you have cleared all of that and you've passed your poly, then you move into phase 2, which is all your medical appointments. So psychological appointments, fingerprinting, drug test, heart and lung evaluation to make sure that you are fit for duty. And then after all of that, once you've passed that, then you get your academy date.
That's crazy about the neighbors. I mean, like, now let me ask you: is there, if a person got a speeding ticket, when they were 18, or you know what I mean, like, I don't know, they went to college and they got in trouble and they got kicked out of a bar, or who knows? So Nevada State Police, you can still apply,
Right.
or they will just say, look, you got a speeding ticket and we don't want anybody like that.
No, absolutely
no,
not. We're not
that doesn't
looking.
affect him.
Yeah, we're not looking for saints. Obviously, we're not looking for people that haven't done anything wrong at all. We've all been young. We've all done something stupid. I've had 2 speeding tickets in my life when I was young. It turns into a problem when if you did get that speeding ticket and you didn't take care of the speeding ticket and now it's gone to warrant, then it's an issue, right? It's all a matter of taking accountability and making sure that you've taken care of the things that you have to take care of. A lot of the other questions that we have that people aren't sure of is financials. Just because you have a not so great credit score doesn't mean that you're going to get automatically denied. What we're looking for is that if you do have a bad credit score, what is the issue of that credit score? Do you have a whole bunch of credit cards? Are you taking care of those credit cards, or are you just kind of letting them go into collections? Then it becomes an issue. Do you have all of these accounts that are going into collections? Then it's a problem. Do you have bankruptcies and like closures or whatever repossessions that are just piling up? Then it starts becoming a problem. We understand that the economy right now is not the greatest. Things are expensive. There's a lot of debt going around. So yeah, we understand that there might be some piled up things that maybe have gotten out of control, but are you taking care of them now? And as long as you are, then it's not an issue at all.
They want to make sure you're a responsible
Yeah.
person. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that you're not going. Actually, you're a representative of the state.
Right.
So that's why
that's
they
right,
look
right.
into that, because once you're a state trooper, you're representing the state of Nevada. So they don't want those issues coming out where people have to talk about, well, look at this trooper and
Right, of course.
he's got a gambling problem and all this debt and everything. We don't want to get into those issues. So if you're a person that's kind of hit some hard times, but you're responsible and you're taking care of it, apply. You know what I mean? We'll work with you on that. They can figure all that out, whether you are trying to be responsible or if you're one of those people that just don't care. Because the minute you get one of those persons that don't care, then they don't care about the rest of the people they work for. They put your life and their lives in danger, and we don't want that. But like we said, we're always looking for Nevada's finest, and we want the best of the best that we can get every time.
They need people with like perfect hair like him.
That's right. That's why he's
You know
our
what I'm
recruiter.
saying? I mean, like, you kidding me? It's funny because we always talk about the fact of, that when you go to the academy that they look for, the string that's out of place, right? Because, we always laugh, you're going to forget the string, you're going to forget your bullets, they're going to be lying on the bed, and you're going to leave, and you're going to go, oh, I don't have the extra bullets, and I needed them today, and so it's a wonderful thing. We threw him on the spot. He just kept going though. You know what I'm saying? this is what it takes, though, to become a Nevada State Trooper, right? It doesn't matter where they place you or what it is that you have to do. Sometimes you move, sometimes you have to do certain things, but at the end of the day, by working for the state and by building your pension and all these things, you're able to go to different places like yourself and go to and work in different divisions.
Right. There's a ton of opportunity here for new people, and that's what we try to tell people when people ask me, what do you like about it? I said, well, there's number one, there's working with great people and doing good things out there by pulling the bad eggs, if you will, out of society that are making bad choices, driving recklessly, driving impaired, committing crimes against others, and separating that, and you're protecting society. And there's a good feeling about that every day. And every day, I tell my wife, every day is a new day. Whether the speeds are always high and we're pulling over a lot of speeders, it might seem mundane to some people, but the traffic stop itself opens Pandora's box for different kinds of crimes, and it keeps it interesting. And if you work hard from the get-go with Louis and going through the academy, and there's a lot of opportunity with this department: motors, canine interdiction, the rural spots, the urban spots, graveyard, day shift. I mean, you go back to the training division where you all started and become a corporal and train the new people that are coming in.
Yeah.
Public information officer. You shouldn't become bored, and as long as you're always working hard and looking for the next thing and getting along with your coworkers and having fun, then it's a great career.
Yeah, I think it's the most wonderful thing. You know what I'm saying? And I love seeing all the different divisions and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's so wonderful. All right, let's see what we got for this one.
Since we're doing speed today, Neil, Trooper Vossner, that's a commercial trooper. He drives the truck, right?
Yeah.
What are they supposed to be focusing on? Doing their commercial trucks, right?
Right.
Well, Trooper Vossner, this is this morning. I wanted to use this morning.
Come on.
No. He just sent me this on a text this morning. He goes, Sean, and I got to quote him.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's supposed to be a full moon, so I think it's just starting. That's what he told me. So he sent me these 3 different stops from this morning. He's out there working, and this is what the speeds that he has gotten this morning. So these are the different locations. The Beltway at Las Vegas Boulevard, what 604 means, that's our state route. And then we got I-15 St. Rose, because he's moving around doing his commercial, looking for commercial things.
Right.
But while that, people got to realize, even though they see our state troopers in these silver F-150s like trucks,
right.
They're focusing on what they're supposed to do, commercial trucks for safety and everybody else. But they got to realize that every one of our troopers, all of our sworn personnel that drive, whether cars, trucks, or whatever, every unit has radar in it. Every trooper is certified to do the same thing. Just because they're focused on what their unit does, doesn't mean that they're a different state trooper. So if you're going to be speeding in front of these trucks, you're going to get a ticket. And this is just him looking for other stuff, as far as the commercial trucks, and he's getting these speeds sitting.
And they say state trooper on the back.
Absolutely.
It's still silver.
Yeah.
Right. Still silver.
Yeah.
Big billboard.
So this is just this morning. I just wanted to bring this on because it's so funny. And I text him. I go, I'm doing a whole segment on speed today.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to use these today at Neil's because this was just this
tell
morning.
right there. Say thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, Trooper Vossner.
Right.
So,
we
yeah,
love you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It should be extra.
Here's the thing. This guy in the middle looks like a motorcycle or a quad or something in the back of this thing, right? Whether it's tied down or not.
What if you hit somebody 100 with that? And what if it's not secured as much as
No,
you
that's what I'm
think?
saying. A lot of
Going
people
through
just throw
that
their
or
things in the
somewhere
back
else.
and they just
Yep.
hope that they don't rock back and forth. You know what I'm saying? 113 miles an hour. Okay? And again, I come back to the start of what we were saying, okay? So in my truck, different from the car, when I have driven 75 miles an hour in that truck, it feels like I am driving a missile, like more than my car could ever be. My car, you do 75 miles an hour and it's like you're low and like you could just rock and like that's the end of it.
Right.
But in the truck, 75 miles an hour, because you sort of have this perception that it's going to take that much further to stop. And even with my truck that's a little bit taller, you know, that means that he's going 120 miles an hour in his truck to catch up to this person. Or even if he's doing 90 miles an hour with his lights flashing and they're slowing down. You know, I mean, like, these people are putting the troopers at risk. And in turn, they're putting everyone's life at risk so that these three people, and continuing, right, that they can go on some sort of speed, and so it just has to stop. Go.
Right. And it's I just want to point out too, you know, these same pictures, these three pictures, just like the three pictures you showed with me and Prim, it always kind of makes us giggle a little bit that it's not an exotic car that's doing these
Right.
speeds. It's like an average Joe truck, sedan, minivan, whatever it is. And it's even more crazy in our eyes that you're literally pushing the car probably to the governor when you're doing these kind of speeds, especially pickup trucks. I mean, the 100 mile an hour is pretty much a cutoff point for a lot of pickups for safety reasons. For the tires, like Louis alluded to earlier, like they start coming apart and stuff. So it's pretty amazing.
I can't even imagine like doing 100 miles an hour in my truck.
Yeah.
It would be so scary.
It's definitely noisy.
Like, you know, and so I talk about the same, right? Because, you know, like he just alluded to in the beginning too about the tires, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, these tires are rated to go 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Right. Not 113. Especially because, you know, everyone takes such
I mean,
good
this
care
is
of
like
their
a
tires,
Mazda
too.
or one of these things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and he gets on at like 6 to 4, works probably the same shift, you know, the
Yeah,
commercial. And
average.
these are early in the morning, you know, so you don't have as much traffic, but it's still on the 215 in Las Vegas Boulevard. You know what I mean? That's just right before the airport. You know what I mean? To give the perspective so people know where it's at. You know what I mean? And then this was over by Windmill, going over by that area. So that's probably before he went to St. Rose, because I think they were working more in the Blue Diamond area. You know what I mean? For commercial right now.
And here's what I want to point out on this one: he pulled over to the left,
Yep.
and there is no room there.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty tight.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the trooper has to sit on the cinder block wall.
Yeah. The thing that people also don't understand is that when we conduct a traffic stop or initiate a traffic stop, that person is now under our care. We are responsible for their safety and the well-being of that person because we are seizing them at that point.
Are you ready for the next one?
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Sure.
I want you to elaborate on this because I was watching the show. I watched the show on the weekend with the police, right? And one of the people got it last week. The guy, it was a suspicious vehicle from a neighboring city. So they pulled the guy over and they said, "Hi, you know, how are you? You know, I'm so and so from the police." And he said, "Okay." And he said, "I'd like to talk to you out here." And he said, "I'm not getting out of my vehicle." And he said, "Please, sir, I'm asking you to get out of the vehicle." He said, "I'm not getting out of the vehicle." And he said, "Okay. Sir, please turn off the vehicle." "I'm not turning off my vehicle." "Sir, please turn off the vehicle." And then after he told him 4 times, right, because they showed it 5 minutes later, he was wanted for murder,
Yeah.
right, from like a neighboring town or whatever, right?
That's huge.
So like they wanted to talk to this guy,
Right.
right? And so after they told him 4 times, like, "Please come out," they dragged him out of the car, and they were like, "Okay," you know, and he was belligerent the whole time, like, "Oh, you know, I want to talk to this person out there." But when you pull someone over, there is a definitive reason, whatever that reason might be. But you have a reason to want to talk to this person,
Right.
right? And so explain to us about what you just said, that when that happens, because you are not free to leave until they say, you know, what? "Thank you very much. Here's your you know what I mean?
Right.
Go.
Correct.
Yeah, so once we initiate that traffic stop with the red and blues and the siren, obviously, you are being detained at that point. Essentially, you're being stopped. You're not free to leave until we say it's free to leave. Going back to that show, there's actually case law that states that we are able to ask the driver and any passengers in the vehicle to get out of the vehicle. It's protected by case law. It's not even something that it's just Nevada. It's throughout the entire country. And that's for not only the safety of the driver or the the passengers, but it's also the safety of ours. We don't know what's going on in that car. We have no idea what's in that car. We don't know who this person is, just like that gentleman is on the TV show. We don't know who we're interacting with at that point. So if there's something that's not 100% with us, or we're feeling that there's something off, we can request that driver to get out of the vehicle. We can request the passengers to get out of the vehicle as well. And at that point, you're not free to leave until we say that you're good to go.
And remember, on your license, when you sign for that license, not many people read that handbook.
Yeah.
But you got to adhere to all the laws, Nevada state laws, and everything else. And it clearly states that you have to abide by police, for stops and everything else to obtain your driver's license, because it's a privilege, it's not a right, and people need to understand that, and people often forget. And then when you don't obey a police officer, commands of a police officer, now you're looking at obstructing, or even worse. And then you get physical. It can go from a simple just speaking to the person to a misdemeanor to a felony really quick once you start putting hands or you want to fight with that. So people just got to realize, a traffic stop's not the place or our time. You get a lot of people that get stopped, they want to argue or whatever. That's not the place to do it. That's what court's for. Where the trooper or the officer that pulls you over, that's their job. Whether you think it's right or not, arguing with them is not going to go anywhere from that. So I always tell people, save that best argument when you go to court, if you decide to go to court, and you get that chance every time.
That's
a
right in this country.
So
Courts.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was going to get to. Like you see someone that's 2.248, and again, I'm not talking anything about that case, right? 0.218, I don't care what it is.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You get sometimes that people, when they are under the influence of any type of drugs or alcohol, that sometimes they are belligerent. Sometimes I've seen them where they get pulled over and they go, you caught me. I'm really sorry, and put me in the handcuffs. You caught me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a humbling moment for them
Yeah.
sometimes.
Right. But the thing is, there are some people that is not the case.
Right.
And so now you caught me and I'm going to prison.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? You're gonna call Sergeant Clifton and go, I just want to tell you that this person who's on probation for driving impaired 6 times, I caught for a 7th time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting about the Prim District too. It's a funnel between the two states. So it's a very highly traveled corridor between LA, San Bernardino, and Las Vegas, and people come out here to party, and it funnels the good and the bad down to this 2-3 lanes for all that time. So the chances of coming across fugitives, people with weapons violations, people that shouldn't have weapons, drug trafficking, all that's funneled into that little corridor. So like the traffic stop could become inherently dangerous, and it always is inherently dangerous until we really know who and what's going on in that car.
Yeah, because when you pull behind them, it doesn't matter, and I don't know what your screen shows, but it doesn't matter what the screen shows. That screen doesn't show what's in that physical car.
And it doesn't show necessarily who's in that car unless the registered owner is the only person in that car, which we know a lot of times that's not the case.
Doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, because you could have someone in the passenger seat with something,
Or someone's borrowing the car. It's a rental
Yep.
car. We get a lot of private rentals outside the company rentals, like Turo,
Turo, yeah.
Even Facebook.
Oh, I
And
never
so you
even
get
thought of
really
that.
random people that are traveling, especially on vacation, that are just renting for the summertime.
For somebody
You
else.
rent the car from somebody who
Yeah.
has a
All
warrant.
And then you got to
privately.
make sure it's not stolen.
Yeah, that's what I was
run
going to say.
everything.
Somebody has a warrant. They're like, yeah, that's
Embezzled.
my car.
Yeah,
You
so
know?
it's,
yeah.
it's
And you always got to remember this: bad
Wow.
guys always have to travel somewhere. So
Right.
I always tell the basis for even
Wow.
law enforcement in general, and that's why you see a lot of stuff like Real Stories of the Highway Patrol and
Yeah.
stuff. You know, all these shows. Everything starts at a traffic stop.
Yep.
Yep.
A
And I tell you
violation.
what, just a simple violation. When I was a deputy sheriff for a metropolitan area back in Omaha, late at night, after 1 o'clock, bars are closed. From 1 to 5, we used to say only cops and bad guys are out, right?
Yeah.
And if you always saw like a one headlight, it usually was a felony one-lighter, because if you pulled them over for a headlight violation, guess what?
Yeah.
Now you got some person wanted on felonies or warrants or different stuff. And it's pretty much true on a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? And
They say nothing happens
crazy.
good between 12 and 5. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
And so,
yeah.
the thing is and that's why we need more troopers, and that's why we need more people, down in your district, because obviously, if he's supposed to be doing the commercial, which we love the commercials, the commercial division. You know, it just doesn't. It's just too much. You know
He's
what
still
I'm saying?
doing it. It's just that he's not letting 113 or 100-mile-per-hour guys
I just
fly
don't
past him.
understand
You know what I
this
mean? So you really have to do something at that point, whether you're trying to operate your own unit's job of doing commercial work. But when somebody's driving reckless like this, that can either kill themselves or somebody else, you have to stop them, educate them. You know what I mean? It's our
113
duty. You know?
113 miles an hour.
Yep, egregious ones.
Okay. Nevada State Police, California Highway Patrol have joined forces this Memorial Day. Well, it's after Memorial Day.
Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit the last
week,
time.
yes.
But the reason I put this back up
Tell me.
is this is in the Prim District. On the other side, you know, we actually met
think
on
he
the
just-
California side
He
this
just
time.
wanted to show off his car.
And
He did.
yeah.
Mustang versus the Charger.
Right,
We
you know
love
what I'm saying?
CHP.
No,
Yeah.
Go.
But the thing is, I wanted to bring it up because he could probably allude and
probably
talk
get
a
one
little
of
bit
those.
more about it because they worked that Prim operation down there over the Memorial this last month, and it was we like joining forces with CHP on
love
these
them.
holidays to bring down impaired driving, reckless driving, which you've seen him doing, and this is just a team effort that we do with them every year. And we just wanted to highlight that again. And the reason I put that on there is because we got Jeff that actually works down there, and this is one of their operations.
And he wants you to get the car so bad so
Right.
he can do
He's
this.
showing it
He can do
again.
them both like this.
This is
you
a
know?
size
That's
up right here.
unbelievable, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, I even requested when I called CHP, they wanted to use one of their they got these Drangos, right?
Which
And
you can see in the lower left. there.
yeah, and they're not, they're really tearing them up in San Francisco right now because everybody's looking for the black and whites, you know, CHP. Well, now they're coming in maroon, black, and they almost have like the ghost graphics type thing where you can't notice it, and they're just nailing all the reckless drivers and everything. It's like the biggest hit right now. So I told them, hey, for our photos, can you at least send us a Charger out of LA or something that we can put next to the Mustang? And they were able to accommodate that, so I was kind of happy about that.
I drove the car the
Yeah.
other day in one of these Durangos,
Uh-huh.
right? You know, pink, right? You know, they pull up next to the car and they want to be stupid and they put their hands out the window and they start filming. You know what I mean? So I like slam on the brakes and like, you know, just go away. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
separate
Just-
yourself.
You're like, go away from me. You know what I'm saying? And so then he 120 miles an hour, blows past. Like, come on, let's play with each other. I'm like, no, like I'm gonna go even slower. Like I'm in my car, I want to drive. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
sensible. It's not for that.
Yeah.
But CHP is fantastic.
They are. They're a huge help to us down there.
We love CHP, part of the IPOF as well, and we do a lot of stuff for the Mountain Pass CHP.
Nice.
And it's important that people know that the Nevada State Police works with all the agencies. You alluded to it earlier. You said that in your district you work very closely with the other allied agencies,
Right.
right? Because you're sort of out, not to say in the middle of nowhere, but you're in a more rural area than the city.
Yeah, and just that coverage, that mutual aid with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, they're able to sit like we talked about in the very beginning of the episode with waiting for a tow. A lot of those guys are nice enough that they'll sit with the tow, and I can handle my arrest and get going, especially because I have a drive. And then vice versa, like they get a disturbance at Buffalo Bills Casino down there, we're there to help them out too. It goes very hand in hand. It's expected. It goes without saying down there.
That's the way it should be.
And so you have one mutual channel that you all like talk on, or
We could
like
get
you
'em-
talk to your dispatch and then they do it that way.
Yeah, a lot of us share our cell phone numbers with each other, so we just go direct line. And then
Oh.
if the dispatcher with a little bit of
So
two
it makes
different
it
dispatch,
easier on the dispatcher.
yeah, there's a little delay between the two centers, so it's easy for us to get rolling and start covering ground and getting to our partners, and vice versa, getting to us, versus having to wait for that dispatch delay just in case there's something that happens and playing that telephone through the radio.
No, totally. I mean, this is one of the things that you have to make adjustments.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like just like with anything, and so it's fantastic. Tell me what this is. I want to know.
Go ahead.
Oh, so this is just the Prim district. So not to confuse it with everything that was done over the
Yes.
weekend. This is just the
Just
27
NHP.
miles between California and St. Rose Parkway. NHP's stats for that Memorial Day, and CHP had their own big numbers that they put up, and then Southern Nevada, you see the big numbers in the top right.
It's just ridiculous.
And this is including our troopers here in the Vegas Valley for other than Prim. And we got 832 citations, 101 crashes, because we always have crashes in the valley. That's
Of
never going to
course.
stop. but they got 32 DUI arrests and 6 other arrests, for misdemeanor warrants or whatever it may be, or reckless. I think one of them was a reckless driver or whatever. So that was just over the 3-day period on Memorial Day, and we've talked about it on the holidays. Usually it's kind of quiet and slow on the holidays because a lot of people are going out of town. It only gets like a mad rush when everybody's trying to get back or when they're leaving. That's when the big movement. But during the holidays, usually it's pretty quiet on the weekends. I think you know what I mean. It's not as busy, but this is what we still were able to do. And then I also included Reno's in there. They're not as high as stats, but they don't. You're looking less than 1 million people. We got over 3 million people, so you can't really, population-wise with this, put the stats there.
We're gonna figure out how to get this trooper talk up into the Reno area.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Because they one of somebody who I forget who was
Kim.
here came here last week, and
Kim's great.
and he said that they don't know about it up there.
Yeah.
And so we have to figure out a way to get the trooper talk up to the
cool.
north.
You have to
know
do
what I'm saying?
a Zoom one with the TV.
Yeah, something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, well, because here's the thing: most people, they don't get a chance to see this. They don't get a chance to feel this. They don't get a chance to laugh and joke with each other. You know what I mean? Because it's always so serious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
You have to separate that.
we want people to know that how important it is. That you feel good and all that type of stuff. What's life like down in Primm?
I like it. It's very proactive. It kind of reminds me of the Motors days where we had more troopers on the road, and Motors was able to be the problem-solving unit where we would go to areas with complaints and crashes and a lot of reckless driving and just saturate it and slow it all down. Primm's fun because typically the call levels are a little lower unless we get crashes out there and other calls of service. We do get rolling domestics. We get other things that you would expect in the city too, just at a lower level of volume-wise. So it's a lot of fun. I always tell people it's a great place because if you want to be proactive, that's where it's at.
And proactive is being that is
Yeah,
fun,
like-
rather than being just reactive.
Grabbing the bad guys, taking them to jail if we have to, taking the reckless drivers out of the game, taking the DUIs out of the game. It's a cool little area to work. It totally changes it up from the city.
Yeah, and so what is without going into specifics, the house and so like you live in a rural area and
Just on the edge of Henderson over there, so it's close enough for the beat that I'm within the highway zone within 10 minutes or less, which is really cool. So I could go home, see the kids, wife for lunch or dinner, depending on what shift I'm working, and then zoom back out, have some more fun.
Right.
And then the shift flies by out there, literally.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that. I like that.
We need people that are going to be energetic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so the family is a vital part to being a state trooper.
Absolutely.
Because it's not easy.
No.
And it puts a lot of pressure on family and family life and all these type of things. And so sometimes changes have to be done. Sometimes things have to be done, but in the pursuit of happiness, in the pursuit of doing things in a better way. And so that's why we need, anybody who wants to be the finest, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a major change if you do decide to come and join us, not only for yourself but for your family. You don't have to be experienced. You don't have to have any kind of qualifications whatsoever. I think Trooper Thayer can attest to it, but he didn't know anything about speed prior to coming on with us, and now he's one of our leading experts on speed. So it's going to be a lot, but that's because the Academy is going to teach you everything from 0 to 100. They're going to teach you from the bottom up, and they're going to teach you how to do it effectively and safely. And your family has to understand that it's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of homework at times. There's going to be a lot of studying. There's going to be scenarios and situations that you're put into that's going to be stressful for yourself, and your family's going to have to understand that you might have to come home and kind of download all of that onto them to kind of get it off of you to kind of digress the day and rehabilitate yourself to a more level-headed spot that you were at.
Yeah, it's very important. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it takes time.
It does.
It's not 1, 2, 3.
It's not
you know what I'm
overnight.
saying? No,
Absolutely. And a
100%.
lot of experience and knowledge comes about by doing the job.
Yeah.
It's all worth
Absolutely.
it. It goes by quick.
Yeah.
It's all worth it.
He says it goes by
Yeah.
fast. He's just looking at Hagstrom's
Yeah,
Mustang,
the
you know what I'm
Mustang,
saying?
yeah.
Saying,
Fast,
do I really want
fast,
that? I don't
yeah.
know. You know what I'm saying? All right. Trooper Thayer. I would love to hang out and talk a long time, but I do have
You got business to take care
Yeah,
of.
he does.
I got to
Do
get back
it.
down there
So,
too.
Here's what I'm going to tell you, though. Okay. First of all, I appreciate you coming.
Thanks for having me again.
We do always talk about you, you know, about sending the pictures and all this type of stuff. We're trying everything we can, not only to get people out there to help you, but to tell people about the speeds and stuff like that and things like that. I'm going to today talk to my assistant, and I'm going to see about figuring out maybe we can get on a California TV show or something.
That would be
Television.
awesome. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we did with the Trooper Talk.
Or come for a ride along too down there.
Something. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
And so we thank you for taking the time.
No, thanks again.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
We can't embarrass you anymore today, but we'll try. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But non-sworn positions, right?
absolutely.
Your family
Yep.
is part of Nevada State Police, and they do the non-sworn positions.
Right.
And so they're looking for people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the times, most of the times, those positions are much more vital than what we do. We couldn't do almost all of the job that we do now without the help that they do. They support a whole lot more than just administrative function stuff and whatnot. They prepare courts or prepare documents for the courts. They deal with offenders on a day-to-day basis just the same as we do. So it's just, if it's something that you're looking for, if you're not totally ready to carry a gun and a badge, then yeah, absolutely Nevada State Police has admin positions for you, as well as dispatching. Dispatching is a great, I would say, jump to get into law enforcement, just because you're starting to learn the 10 codes or radio codes. You're starting to learn the calls and the volumes and how we handle those calls, and then that way, if you do decide to jump over, you have one leg up and you're kind of already working the calls as you already know how to handle them.
We got Trooper Thayer here.
Absolutely. And you know, so excited to get them down here. One thing I want to add on too is we're looking for laterals.
Yep.
So if you're from other agencies, whether it's in this state or other states, and you'd love to come out, see what it's all about, you know, we do ride-alongs, and we'd love to have other officers from other states that are looking in the Las Vegas area, making it their new home. We'd love to have you come join us. Another thing is, if you're in the military right now and you're thinking about getting out here shortly within the next 6 months, we got the Skill Bridge program, which you can call Louis here, and he'll be more than happy to help you get along with that. So please go to our website, nevadastatepolice.com. We're always looking for Nevada's finest, and we want to really expand our department, but not only expand the department because we got all these different divisions, but it's a family here, and we really love our family, and it's not a big agency where you would think a lot of people don't know each other because there's so many people, whatever. We know people that are working in Reno right now compared to Vegas, and everybody's, you know, we're under 400 people as state troopers or whatever alone, and we also know pretty much all of our civilian personnel too on a name basis. So we are kind of like a smaller family, but we like it that way, and we're able to work together and get the job done out here for the best interest of our public here in the Las Vegas community and throughout this great state of Nevada.
Yeah, and that's why we need more people. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Gentlemen, thank you. We appreciate it. All right, now we're going to wave here.
Thanks, Neil.
And tell people to slow down where you are. You know what I'm saying? They're going to meet you. You know
Unless
what I'm
you want to
saying?
meet me in person, slow down,
Right.
right?
See you later.
That's a good one.